Welcome back. We're glad you're staying with us here on the Local Vibe. And if you are just tuning in, you are right on time for our next live guest.
Yep, February, as you know, is Black History Month, and each day this month we are featuring notable businesses, people, and events that highlight Black and African American culture.
And tomorrow, a Black History Month art show series will kick off in High Point. It is titled Soliloquies, Stories of Underground Legends.
Yeah, and joining us now is Terrence Walker. He is a Winston-Salem State University alum and the curator of Soliloquies Interactive Art Show. Good morning, Terrence.
Good morning to you.
Thanks for spending some time with us today. Talk about the opening ceremony. What makes it interactive in the first place?
Well, the opening ceremony, we have all of the artists that will be featured in the exhibit. Everyone will be in attendance. And what makes it interactive? So, Soliloquy, Stories of Underground Legends. What I had was all of the featured visual artists that were a part of it. I held a workshop and invited a lot of writers, actors, musicians, and things of that nature to come view the art and also have conversations with the artists who were featured. And then they would write a response according to how they received what the artist, spoke about it, or their own perspective of what was happening in the art. I asked them to give the art a voice, or to be the voice, or to give the art a story, or talk about the time that was captured in that piece. We recorded those audios, uploaded them to links, which are also then uploaded to QR codes. So when people come visit the exhibit, they'll be staring at this wonderful piece of art, but they can also scan the QR code and they can possibly hear a voice behind it as well, or see a short film, or hear a song that is connected to the piece. And at the end of the exhibit, everyone receives a quiz. That is mostly just for something fun, and when students and schools come by, they can see what the students and things have retained. There are certain games that are connected to certain images depending on, what was created by the artist. But that's what makes it interactive. I wanted to do something different other than people just looking at the art. I wanted them to hear a voice in connection to it, and be able to add something different to their perspective.
That's cool.
It does sound very cool.
And Soliloquies, we're putting the emphasis on the word soul. Mm-hmm. Tell us the inspiration behind the name, kind of a little bit about your background, Terrence.
So the name of me and my brother's nonprofit organization is Soul Society, to support opportunity, unity, and leadership. And I'm a hip hop artist and poet as well, and I wanted to create a project based around telling my story, but I felt like in order to tell my story, I had to talk about my grandparents. As we talk about Black history, a lot of times we look to people that sometimes we may not know personally, and I'm like, a way to really engage with self or history within your family is to have conversations with your grandparents, or have conversations with your parents who know things about their parents that you may not know. So I wanted to highlight their stories in a way that was beyond music, and I felt like a way to do that was in the arts. And I also invited other people to add people that they felt like were historical or legendary. Could have been a janitor that influenced them, or a doctor, or their teacher, or somebody in their community. So I really wanted to highlight all of these stories of underground legends of people that we may not know, and encourage other people to look within their family circle, look within their community, and see the beautiful history or legendary figures that literally live right down the street from us, that we are right connected with. And so that was what was curated.
Terrence, I think you're kind of bringing this to people in a very, very interesting and in some ways a very personal way. Can you share about some of the other Soliloquies events that are going to be happening through March 4th?
Absolutely. So, of course, the opening ceremony is tomorrow, February 4th. On the 10th and the 12th, we have an artist talk. I want, of course, with every exhibit to have an artist talk with an opportunity for the artist to speak, but I wanted people to hear their perspective on these legendary or historical figures that they chose to highlight. On the 18th, we have an event called the Art Gallery. It's an event that my organization has been doing for the past 6 years. And it's sort of like the open mic for visual artists, an opportunity for them to bring their art, display it, and talk about it. But that is one of the events where the writers are also included in this event as well. So it will be an artist talk with the visual artists, and you will also get to hear from the writers. They may not be performing those specific pieces, but you'll get another opportunity to know who they are, what their heart is, the Art Gallery. Then we have the Soliloquy Soul Sessions. It's a live music and poetry event. Because essentially this is a live interactive experience. And then we have our closing ceremony March 4th, which is an opportunity to have a moment with me, the curator.
Awesome. Terrence, thank you so much for your time. We send you best of luck and success this month with your series. The opening, like you heard him mention, that ceremony of Soliloquies is tomorrow at Sabrina's Gallery in High Point. It'll all kick off at 4 p.m.
Yeah, you must register for this and for future events. To do so, just head to heavyenergyuniversity.com.